Ladies and gentlemen, we made it. 1,000 plus subs and still going up. This is absolutely insane and I friggin' love it. You know, all this time working video after video, trying to improve so much, and look where it got us. It's going pretty good. In just under a year. Well, I guess a bit more than a year, now that I think about it. Just 1K subs plus in about more than a year's time with only 13 videos and a few collabs here and there. Not bad. And what's even better is you guys just continuing to support me and watching each of the videos and sharing them around. I really appreciate it. But before we go any further, some proper special thanks are in order. And special apologies. First off, Periodic Pete. Yeah, you told me so. You told me so. Yeah, me and Pete collabed in one of our other videos, which is criminally underrated, by the way. Go watch it, for fuck's sake. And literally a week after, I started surpassing him in subs. And, you know, the rest is history from there. You can tell from his video that he made in celebration of me reaching 1K. So, I definitely ask that you guys check him out, check out his channel. He doesn't talk about Ruby very much, but he has a whole lot of crazy good stuff to say. And I'm so happy to work with him in the future. And he's been a cool guy who's basically been supporting me since the start. Second off, I really want to give a shout out to Fallen Gang and Celtic Phoenix Productions, who have been two creators who have been sharing around my Bumblebee Too Little Too Late video, which has been a massive success, surpassing my most popular video, my very first video in views. And that crap is trickled down to basically all of my other content. And I can't thank these guys enough. I really appreciate you guys are kings, and I'm happy to say that, yeah, I'm a big boy YouTuber now, I guess. You know, I got my own channel with blackjacks and hookers. And for these people, I can't necessarily say who it is by name, but I would like to thank the people who have helped me edit and script write for the script for Bumblebee Too Little Too Late. Basically in the background ever since I tried making it, they've really helped me shape things up from how it originally was back in 2019, because even though that it was pretty funny and well made for somebody just starting out, it was kind of a mess. But these guys have definitely helped shape it into what you see now, and partially what made it such a huge success. You know who you are, and you guys are fucking champions. Can't thank y'all enough. Perry Doritos, who has basically made thumbnails for 80 if not 70% of all of my videos. I've credited him in basically every single one he's been in, but I know proper thanks, public thanks are in order here. He is a great artist, he's a good editor, he knows what he's doing. Definitely follow him on Twitter if you haven't, and definitely pay for his commissions. He's done a lot of really good work, and again, I really appreciate it. It's crazy all the stuff that he's been able to do in just one afternoon, but yeah, he's freaking did it, including the Bumblebee video. And most importantly, the crown jewel of thanks of metaphorical hand jobs goes to the Newtypes, Lone Crit and Code Blaze Fate, my autists in arms. We made it. These guys are my best friends on the internet. They are the ones who have helped me refine my tools as a critic, as a guy who appreciates the media that he likes. And most importantly, these guys are my first fans. All the time, I've told them so many times that I'm gonna make this video, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I freaking did it, and they've supported me from the very beginning. And I also want to shout out our podcast, the Newtypes Podcast, technically our first soiree into the YouTube content scene. It's filled with a lot of great, funny moments. We were making back-to-back new episodes fairly recently. You can find the playlist of that on my channel if you haven't, but go definitely subscribe if you want to hear more of me and my friends here. CBF also has his own channel, and he's made an appearance in the Bumblebee video, so yeah, definitely check him out. He's got some really good stuff in the future. Alright, enough of the metaphorical circle jerk, Kaiser. This shit is like, what? I don't know, 20-30 minutes long by the end of this. I actually don't know how long this is gonna last, but it's gonna go crazy. What is the real meat of the whole thing? Well, two things. Number one, I want to talk about what my future plans are for the channel. Now, I know a lot of you came here for the Ruby bullying content, and that's still gonna happen. But for the next couple videos, I want to do some different things.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
Yes, I know, huge freaking cop-out, but come on guys, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I have about a list of 20 or so projects, not Ruby related, that I really want to share with y'all. So, I know it's a little bit of a loss for those of you who came here for me ranting and raving about this overglorified fan fiction, but let's be completely friggin' honest. If RTX is by any indication, Rooster Teeth ain't doing so hot, especially in terms of Ruby content. And since Volume 10 is more than likely not gonna come out until 2024, I gotta give y'all something in exchange for all that. Someday, this series is gonna end, and I don't want to be solely reliant on it in order to get good content out there. So, again, if you guys don't mind, I hope all of you just stick around for what I got going on in the future, because these are some damn good videos in the works, and they'll be coming up next. And in addition, if y'all even have a monicum to spare, definitely support me on Ko-fi. I made that account basically just as the Bumblebee video came out. You don't have to spare much, but I'm definitely aiming to probably buy a new editor at some point. But if you can't, that's perfectly fine. It's just that every little bit helps. And most importantly, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share the videos around. Every little bit helps. Now let's get into the real meat of the video, because I don't want clickbait. I'm gonna be responding to the comments of my video, which is what I've always wanted to do. Oh my gosh. You guys have shared a lot of differing opinions, gave me a lot of love for the video. I have never had this many comments in my comment section before. It far surpassed the amount of comments I had in my first video. Also, I want to share around that the gameplay footage is for an indie game called Vernal Edge. It's a really good 2D platformer RPG, and it's very fun, it's very creative, and I hope you enjoy seeing it for like the next, I don't know, half hour or so. And it's gonna be fun. Now, I'm not going to be doing that to the people who, are giving me praise for the video, because y'all already know how I feel about them. You guys have been showering me with so much love and attention, and it's really great. It's a really great feeling that just everybody is just showing up to see what I have to say, and just feeling that, hey, I spoke to them in a certain way. It's really nice. It's a really nice feeling. However, for the first part of this, I want to talk to the comments of people who like my video, but said some points that I kinda disagree with. These aren't specific points I want to tackle, it's more so general sentiments that I just don't feel are correct. You guys have every right to disagree with me on any of these points, but these are just the things that kind of bother me. So let's get it started. First on the list, Bumblebee fucked up Yang and Blake's other relationships. No. Like, no. No. In my opinion, while I understand this sentiment, it is completely untrue. Because what y'all need to understand is that Ruby is so bad at writing that even characters who aren't involved in any relationships whatsoever barely get the meaningful characterization they deserve. Bumblebee didn't get as much of a push as it did until Volume 6. Remember how up to that point, Ruby barely had any character development? Remember how up to that point, that basically Jean never really talked to Blake or Yang? Remember how up to that point, Weiss almost never really talked to really Ren or Nora? And there are so many other aspects of their characters, even in Volume 9, that go completely ignored or understated. The problem I have with this sentiment is that it goes against what I say in my video. The most important thing I want to hammer home to you guys is that Bumblebee is a symptom, not the disease. It is a symptom of these problems. It is not the problems themselves. For example, even if Bumblebee was never going to be a thing, if it never happened, Rooster Teeth are so dumb, they would have found some other cockamamie bullshit way for Yang and Ruby not to have a compelling sibling relationship. It would happen no matter what. Even if Blake and Yang wasn't a thing, we still would have skipped over Weiss's grief over losing Atlas in Volume 9. And we for damn sure would have still had the White Fang subplot, which ruins so much of the show on its own. You know, the relationship is a symptom of the problem, not the source of it. And I really want to hammer that home to people because I don't know, man, sometimes it isn't really that deep. The scope of how bad the series is much more fundamental than that. So agree to disagree. Alright, next point. Sun is a better partner than Yang. Oh man, okay. Now, relative to screen time up until Volume 6, it's not that Sun is a better partner than Yang, it's just that it makes a bit more sense for him to be one, if that makes any sense. Because thematically or theoretically speaking, I think Yang is a better partner for Blake than Sun is. Unless you really have to change a lot about his character in order to make him, you know, have comparable character drama and potentially interesting interactions with Blake as Yang does. Because as is, Sun is a good dude, but he's a pretty simple dude as well. Yang and Blake together have a lot of things going on for them in terms of potential drama and character development, and you can't exactly do that with Sun. Again, unless you decide to change up his character, but then you have to wonder if he's the same guy anymore, you know what I'm saying? My point in bringing up Sun in my video is to say that if they wanted to do Bumblebee, they shouldn't have wasted time. Sun, and the way that they framed him relative to his interactions with Blake, is a complete distraction from that point. Not to say that there shouldn't be any obstacles towards a relationship either, it's just that they've kind of strung that for too long in my opinion. Alright, next point. Bumblebee is force wokeness! No. Look, I understand the distrust towards Rooster Teeth right now, they absolutely deserve it, but do I believe that Miles and Carrie and the people in the writer's room are only putting in, you know, LGBT aspects of their show simply because it's going to get them clicks? Not really. Most of the people in Krubby tend to be pretty liberal themselves and in some ways progressive, at least it seemed that way at the time. And I don't necessarily doubt that these guys more than likely thought of Bumblebee being a thing for a very, very long time. I just don't think it really means all that much in general because they still fucked up from frame 1. And the way in which this is woke, whatever the fuck that means at this point, isn't anywhere near as bad as other movies and cartoons have made it. But it's definitely as badly written. Also, the notion that Bumblebee is forced in general is also something I don't necessarily agree with. Forced implies that, you know, just came out of the ether, you know, from practically nothing. And while I agree that Bumblebee's foundations came from very, very little, I wouldn't say it came from nothing at all. Rushed is a better word for it. It's a lot more accurate to what's going on. There are a scant few pieces roaming around that help make the ship what it is, but they didn't put the pieces together properly before, just going from 0 to 100 with it. Which brings me to the last sentiment, Monty this, Monty that. People are using Monty's name saying that, oh, he's rolling in his grave. Oh man, Monty, man, that guy is rolling in his grave. Hey yo, Monty wouldn't be fucking with this shit, man. This shit wouldn't be busting in his mind. It's like, dude, people, we don't know, okay? Again, barring Shane's Letter 2 Electric Boogaloo, we have no reason to believe that Miles and Carrie are so shitty that they would go against the wishes of their friend just to soothe their own egos or keep the show going or whatever conspiracy theory you guys got cooking up next. I honestly completely disagree with this sentiment. I have no problem speculating on whatever the hell Monty would think or feel about the way the show is heading now, but let's be honest, I don't think things would be any different if he were around. Miles and Carrie were the ones who were doing the legitimate majority of the writing for the show for the longest time. Monty had some bullet points, some plans that he probably want ironed out, but Miles and Carrie are the ones who actually have to write the freaking things. And he's been consistent about that from the very beginning. Look at any interview involving the show featuring the guy, and he basically says the exact same shit. If anything, I'd say that Monty would only be mad that it wasn't a fight scene that got Blake and Yang together. And that's essentially it. So that's from the comments that like my video and would agree with a majority of my points, but have some points that I disagree with. This isn't anything against these people. I feel nothing towards them personally. It's just that these sentiments are things that I just want to set the record straight that I just don't agree with. You guys can believe what you want, agree to disagree. But now we get to the crown jewel, my very first big hate comment on the Bumblebee video. I'm shielding this individual's name, but let's just say this guy is a proud Bumblebeer, or Bieber as I would like to call him for the rest of this. I hope he doesn't mind. I know I said to this guy a long time ago when he first made the comment that hey, I'm gonna respond to a majority of his points, or at least the major ones that are the most relevant to the video, and I plan on keeping that promise. But I want to say, no one brigade this man, no one bully him, no one freaking white knights. Feel free to argue with him, criticize him, whatever the hell, just don't do anything really, really bad or scummy, okay? Don't accuse him of anything wrong without proper evidence. We argue over ideas, not people. And if anyone does some wacko-flacko shit with the guy, I'm gonna report him. But now, a little bit of backstory. This guy made a 3-parter Bible, a manifesto against my Bumblebee video. It's a big one, and it's gonna take a hell of a lot to combat all of these points, which is why I gotten myself some help. Hope you enjoy.
Actually, meta-wise, the parallels for BB were already done in V1 via Nora seeking out to partner W/Ren, Pyrrha seeking out to partner W/Jean, and Blake choosing to partner W/Yang. As has been confirmed by Erin herself in the shadow figure, circling Yang was Blake before choosing to make eye contact, thus making them partners.
Which you would think this is out of character for Blake to do, given not only their quite negative first interaction, but also how very antisocial Blake was in Volume 1. If only such an important change like that was given maybe a minute to explore, but fuck that, I guess. Nora seeking out Ren makes sense given their established history, and Pyrrha, oh Pyrrha, that's another video for another time.
Also, can I say I hate this? Why write properly for every single word but cut off with as a W and a slash? It's dumb. Ignoring that Blake came to the dance because of Yang's offering her first dance, Blake taking up said offer, Blake staring at Yang lovingly as she danced W/Sun. Oh yes, all those loving stares that you get with the dead-eyed model of their porcelain doll faces.
Actually, both Volume 5 and the canon DC comics show what most viewers already deduced, that the two spent more time together that just wasn't relevant to the story. From Weiss's mentioning the two being closer and being around each other more than the other to not... God, this is such weird... to literal not-a-date dates, and Yang having flower vision and going disaster mode when it comes to Blake being shown. Also, don't bother me with the side material doesn't count, cause so long as it's fucking canon, it counts. Your lazy ass is not wanting to incorporate that info, or bad-faithingly... Why did I think that was you, Kaiser? My god, that's such... What is this English? Bad-faithingly ignoring it doesn't erase it. The fact is that those types of events have nothing to do with what was going on in the story and were more slice-of-life style, hence them not being in the show that has limited runtime. Not to mention, newsflash, Ruby isn't a damn shoujo AI/Yuri slice-of-life or romance genre show. This is like bitching because Batman comics don't dive into showing Bruce and Selina going on dates and having deep, meaningful convos that aren't related to the storyline happening.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
They most definitely did that in the comics. Like, all the time. I'm not a comic reader myself, and I can smell that BS from a country mile. In fact, one of the most significant things that happened to Batman in the past few years is him and Selina getting married. If these two are getting married, I better hope there were enough scenes with the two interacting to justify it. But hey, I didn't want to straw man or perpetuate misinformation. So, I decided to ask some friends of mine who are in the DC Comics. And guess what? They overwhelmingly confirm my suspicions. Shocker, I know. But let's say this was a TV show or something. I would say the same exact shit. Dude, think about what you are suggesting here. You are saying that Yang had a thing for Blake from the early volumes, or at least potentially anyways. And you are saying that the reasons as to why are locked behind the paywall of a comic made several years after the fact that no one reads because Rooster Teeth doesn't promote it. That is what you are saying. Lastly, the accusation I want the show to be some kind of slice of life assumption. Kinda funny when you think about what he'll accuse me of later, but we'll get to that. That aside though, when have I ever said or implied in my video that I wanted such a thing to happen, or that Bumblebee should be the prime focus of the show? All I ever said was that it wasn't written well. In my ideal version of the ship, there would just be a couple more scenes each volume to better facilitate the relationship, and most of these conversations would only take up, what, a minute or two of screen time? It's not too hard to ask. Whether you think I'm wrong or not about how I feel about the ship as a whole, you can't simply argue I'm trying to say Bumblebee should be the main focus. 'Cause I'm not. Oh, and by this point, you probably noticed that there are a few points that I skipped throughout his big manifesto here, and that's because I want to keep things focused on Bumblebee as a topic, because if I go into the whole Ironwood stuff comments that he's gonna make, or all the Atom comments that he made, we're gonna be here all day.
What's cracking? Gamers barely contribute to each other's development. Dumbass showing how little they know, considering 90% of Blake's development is from interacting with Yang, the one that pulls Blake from the shadow of her past? Yang, the one that pushes Blake to being stronger? Yang, the one that is able to understand and reach Blake to get her to stop burning herself out? Yang, the one that serves to contrast against Atom? Yang.
Good lord, how do I phrase this? I guess you are technically correct. You know, given how Yang is the only other person in the show who even helped Blake develop at all up to this point. And I'm not going to say that the few interactions they had were not good, but you, my friend, are under the assumption that they had some attraction to each other since the early volumes, which is what we're talking about. So let's take that shit and run with it. You keep saying how Yang did this and that for Blake, and you know what? I can kinda see why Blake would be into her at this point. However, here's my question. Without using any extra material outside the show, or using Volume 9's post hoc examples, why does Yang have such a strong feeling for Blake to the point of saying that she needs her emotionally in Volume 5? What in the early volumes specifically made Yang attracted to Blake? Because given her background in abandonment issues, and the fact that Blake has her own problems and that she's never really helped Yang with hers in the early volumes, it makes no real sense that she would feel this attached to her from the beginning. I'll allow you to answer that question, and I pray to God you stay within these parameters, because anything else is just gonna prove my point.
Do go fuck yourself with this, allegedly, bullshit. Blake left to protect the people she cares about, because the detail your ass missed is Adam putting the focus on those around her. So she isn't around equals less danger to them, because making her suffer is the whole point. On top of that, the two things being mentioned aren't mutually exclusive. Blake needed somewhere to go after leaving the others to protect them, which aligned with her gaining her mental footing again via going home.
That doesn't make sense. Either Blake is stupid or Adam is stupid. You know what? Adam is stupid. Adam, you want Blake to suffer. Why bother with just the people in her vicinity? If anything, it'd be really fucked up to slice off Yang's head or something and serve it to Blake on a platter in Menagerie. You can even go ham on the gaslighting to make it her fault at that point. But for real though, it makes no sense for Adam to just be focusing on the people that Blake is around in their immediate vicinity. He never made that clear in his dialogue. Sure, he simply, harmed Yang because she was going after her, but that's only because Yang was explicitly trying to fight Adam and looking for Blake. And because Adam wasn't a dumbass during that scene, he put two and two together. But if Adam wanted to, he could have just killed the Belladonnas, like way before Blake even got there, and just burned the entire city to the ground. And Blake had no reason to assume that that is the only thing that Adam would do, because there's literally nothing stopping him from doing anything otherwise. And it's not like it would take all that much time for him to theoretically murder Yang and throw her corpse in front of Blake either.
Ignoring Yang stating needing Blake and even wanting to be there for her still, which throws out the idea of her only being angry at Blake in that time. Also, Yang being shown gently caressing Blake's image in the team picture, like a fucking separated lover thinking about them.
If by ignoring you mean addresses the exact scene in line during my video, then yeah, you're right in the ballpark, buddy.
Once again, the relationship was touched on in V4. Your dumbass just didn't care to pay attention. On top of that, Yang isn't exactly the type to come out with that sort of thing anyway. Especially since she likely wouldn't even know for sure what her feelings were, or if they'd have been mutual.
Gee, it's almost like this is a fucking story, and you should give more hints about feelings characters keep hidden by putting them in scenarios that made them grapple with those feelings. But nah, one look at some books is totally worth not addressing it for over 10 episodes.
Blake vanished to protect Yang, which is what Weiss... Was it Weiss or Weiss?
Weiss.
Which is what Weiss put into perspective for Yang. Also, fuck your survivor bashing bullshit towards Blake. Cause how dare a re-traumatized fucking survivor leave to protect others from being around her, as she sees herself as a fucking poison. Congrats on being a complete shit stain.
It's funny because you don't have the context behind this.
Nope.
And I do. But
None.
that's a really bad comment.
So, I believe this is the origin of my path as an istophobe. So, let's just squash it right now. I never bashed Blake for leaving in my video. All I said was that the logistics of Blake leaving were dumb given Adam's warning. But other than that, her leaving after such a horrible event is perfectly in character. So sorry, I guess, if it wasn't that clear to you apparently. But it makes me wonder, where did this guy get the idea that I'm bashing Blake at all? Well, that brings us to this paragraph.
Also, yeah, I do think it all got pushed down by Weiss's offering of a new perspective to Yang involving, Blake having been through some fucking shit and having her greatest fears come true, and thus putting her back through all hell again. And thus putting her through hell again. And thus putting her back through hell again.
There you go.
Your bitch ass wants to latch onto Yang's side of things. What about Blake's, you piece of shit?
It's just a Blake fan. What about the survivor reviews that thought for a brief second she could escape her past, including her abuser? Not only for him to show back up, but to literally be a part of the attack that tore down the refuge that she found. What about her being forced to watch him knowingly cut the person closest to her arm off after being told it's because of her, as Adam's dialogue put that exact thing in place? What about her nearly being killed by him, only saved by... What about her nearly being killed by him, only saved by you using her semblance to trick him?
There should be a comment there.
Yeah.
What about her nearly being saved by him?
What about her entire new world being torn apart?
Oh, right. Blake bashing sacks of shit like you don't care about that side of things.
So, a lot to unpack there. Let's start with the easy part. First off, yes, Weiss did offer a new perspective. But both from a realistic and from a character development perspective, it would take more than Weiss simply offering a new perspective to steer Yang's grievances away. Especially if there were no follow-up scenes that delve further before Volume 5 ended. Again, this is where these hypothetical 2-minute scenes would really help a lot here. Secondly, okay, let's do some math here. This guy is concerned that I am bashing Blake because I hate the gays, apparently. His words, not mine. But he also admits that I am seeing Yang's side of things. Even though Yang is gay and I'm supposed to hate gay people? Do you see how confusing this is? Also, this guy accused me beforehand that I wanted this show to be some kind of slice of life, or that I wanted Blake and Yang to be the focus of the show. How is that more homophobic? That doesn't make sense, unless he's implying that I'm implying that the only way that Blake and Yang could have a fleshed out relationship is if their relationship is the main focus of the show? But then we run right back to square one because I never said that. Which is not even touching the final point. As I said before, I didn't bash Blake, especially not for being an abuse survivor, like what the fuck? If anything, I'm bashing the narrative structure of the show for lampshading the impact Blake's actions have had. All I literally did in this section of my video was describe for you beat for beat what those effects are and why Yang is mad at her. I didn't talk about Blake's side yet because A, it's self-explanatory, and B, it wasn't her section.
Because you fucking shit for brain jackass, as stated by Weiss, Blake, and Yang, spent time together building up their bond at Beacon.
Yes, based on such master level comics that are so good and so vital that Rooster Teeth do not promote it. We know.
Easy way out, are you fucking serious with this shit? Blake literally went through hell and lost everything, and wanted to be fucking hated by everyone, while seeing herself as fucking poison. Legitimately, go fuck your disgusting self.
So, I know hyperbole is a hell of a drug after all, but let's detox a bit. I didn't say that Blake had the easy way out in terms of everything she went through up to Volume 5, just in terms of her relationship with Yang. She comes back, and again, if she didn't coddle her in the first half of Volume 6, Yang wouldn't say or do anything against her at all. This would be fine, by the way, if it was just small petty drama that can easily dance around. But it's not. None of this is. It should have taken a bit more for Yang to accept her back. It's not very plausible or realistic given what they have been through. Even the most mature of people would struggle with that while in the company of somebody they have so much history with. Most stories would try a little bit harder to justify this change, but fuck me, basic storytelling is disgusting, I guess.
Also, does Arcos or Renora also fit into that bullshit about off-screen doesn't count?
Yes! You see, around this time is when one of my subs suggested they watch my Ren and Nora videos. He had this to say.
I will readily state that no, I barely know anything of you. Only this vid, maybe one other but not even sure on that, and a bit of the Renora one that I closed cause of rolling my eyes at it too much.
Well, can't say I didn't try. But Bieber, if you weren't so busy rolling your eyes, you would have found that I indeed had the exact same issues with Ren and Nora. Like, almost beat for beat. Lack of fleshing out, rushed conclusions, contrived conflicts, etc, etc. But if I was some wacko flacco homophobe, why would I say anything bad about Renora? In fact, I'm the first and probably only Ruby critic who's ever made dedicated videos about substantial critiques towards their development, especially in the later volumes. A real gay hater would have just kept their friggin' mouth shut. But I made a 2-part video about that shit, a 2-for-1 deal. I don't know, maybe my anti-alphabet software needs an update.
Sun is at most a sidekick in their scenes used for info pulling. There is no emotional bonds, no depth, no fire-forged bond, no contrast against Adam. Hell, he didn't even pop up against him when being given the same Blake in danger info as Yang. No understanding of Blake's perspective, no ability to synchronize with Blake, and repeatedly violates her privacy and boundaries. Adds to her growth. Raffle. No, Blake wasn't even going to listen to his fucking ass. I hope that she's not listening to his ass. Blake wasn't even going to listen to his fucking ass till he brought up Yang. She doesn't go to the dance for his ass, but because of Yang. She brightens because of Yang. She actually pays attention when Yang is in the room and only notices Sun's ass when he's relevant to the plot.
Wait, what do you mean by no understanding of her perspective? In that scene in Volume 4, he literally addresses her self-loathing, cross-bearing mindset. Also, aside from the sea dragon fight, they fight well together, relatively fine. They don't get super cool and elaborate combo moves, but honestly, that kind of speaks to how bad at planning both characters are. Since they have been spending months fighting the White Fang together, it doesn't make sense that they never thought to train or how to use combo attacks. Also, what's with the violates her privacy bit? You do have a point in regards to Volume 2 when Sun breaks into the girls' rooms. And in general, you could say that him barging when he doesn't belong do count as breaches in their privacy. But other than that one time, all the other ones kinda made sense. Especially in Volume 4. I don't know about you, dog, but if I thought my friend was going on some one-girl crusade against a bunch of terrorists, I would back them up. Fuck their privacy. And buddy, if Weiss was the one whose arm got cut off by Adam, Sun would have mentioned her instead. Unless you really think Blake would just not listen if Yang was not in the same sentence. The focus of the conversation was about her taking too much blame for what happened in Volume 3. Sun mentioned Yang because she was the most affected, obviously. Also, this instantly disproves that he has zero understanding of her perspective because why would he bring her up if he didn't? Why would he be a bro if he didn't somewhat understand her enough to decompress her like this? You might say that he doesn't have as close of an emotional connection as Yang, but to say that he has no emotional connecting at all is completely untrue. I would doubt that she would be talking with him as much as she has if she didn't trust him at least somewhat. Like sharing her perspectives on the White Fang and Adam throughout Volume 4 and 5. Honestly, it throws a wrench in how Blake apparently pays more attention to Yang, because that reinforces the problem that they did not earn that.
I would say the exact same thing in reverse.
Hey, yeah, remember when I said that?
Know your bitch ass wouldn't. I guarantee that your bitch ass wouldn't. BS is a shallow, immature shit parade of Blake's boundaries and privacy being violated. Encounter every other romance pairing. But it's fucking hetero, which is why your bitch ass latched onto it. With your bullshit view on Blake, you likely are in the camp of thinking Blake should be a good little trophy wife for Sun. Cause you sure as hell Cause you sure as fuck, I'm just gonna say AF. Cause you sure AF.
Don't look at me like I'm the director.
Cause you sure AF hell don't. Cause you sure AF hell don't give a shit about. Cause you sure AF hell don't give a shit. What are you doing? Cause you sure AF hell don't give a shit about what works for her.
Never mind the numerous clashing throughout Volume 4, the not noticing him, leaving her to fight the Paladin while he ran off to get noodles with Neptune, lacking any emotional bonds, etc. It's hetero.
Well, sorry guys, I gotta close down my channel because this guy is a complete fucking mind reader. Like, seriously. Professor X, move the fuck over. Also, Sun leaving her behind to fight with the Paladin is what I would consider to be severely out of character for Sun. In almost every other instance that Blake is in danger, he pretty much has her back. And yes, I'll say the same thing about her not helping her out in Volume 3. Sun should have and would have gone with Yang to go find Blake. In fact, an easy change would just to have him go both look around for her and just have Yang be the one to find her. But at least Sun would have tried. But hey, Sun more than made up for this by going after her every other time when she's in danger and helping her out.
BS wasn't given 3 X's of anything, and sure AF hell wasn't... and sure as fuck hell doesn't go towards main plots. If anything, the main plot has to bend to accommodate having him in it. But I also point back to the absolute lacking emotional bonding, depth, or anything else that goes towards an actual mature relationship. They are the antithesis to both of the other canon romances, and actually require tearing down female character to actually have her get with and work with him. Not to mention having to shoehorn him into the story.
What exactly about getting Blake and Sun together would tear her down exactly? I agree that it's in theory a less compelling pairing and has less potential for good storytelling compared to Bumblebee, but how does it tear her down exactly? And don't come here thinking I'm a Black Sun fanboy. Well, I know it's a bit too late for that, but this is my final chance, guys. If I literally had it my way, Sun would have been removed from Volume 1 entirely. He wouldn't have been introduced until Volume 2, which would give Yang more screen time and interactions with Blake, and actually have her contribute to the final fight of the volume instead of Sun. Let alone what I would do to replace Sun for the rest of the series in a lot of ways. Not to say that I would put her in the menagerie position, but I would definitely change the way the show frames him, as to make it a much more easier pill to swallow that Yang and Blake are kinda meant to be.
How did Blake reach that epiphany? Cause she's not a dumbass and is capable of realizing where she fucked up by both taking in the originating instance and then the dialogue when fighting against Adam.
Yes, but again, don't you see the lack of communication is an issue here? I mean, sure, it's good that Blake manages to figure this out on her own, off screen, but you'd think she would talk to Yang about it. I mean, the big split happened because of how little Blake communicated her feelings and misunderstood Yang's feelings. A quick 2-minute scene of her apologizing for what happened and understanding what went wrong would be nice before the fight with Adam. But I guess 2 minutes of screen time is homophobic, I guess.
Blake shouldn't feel guilty for shit. She was right in not chasing after Adam, cause there is every damn chance that he'd ambush them if they'd tried. But you know, that's using brain power that you clearly don't have, and not trying to bash Blake cause you're a pitiful, pathetic shit stain. Alright, buddy.
Ambush? They have freaking skylights and an army of people who can track him. Not to mention, he was clearly at a disadvantage. Why bother risking the most dangerous terrorist to run free? Why not smoke him out, burn the forest, or cut him off at certain forest clearings to block his escape?
The slow burn dumbass is that the V7 interactions are part of the already running V16 storyline between them. It's another stage of it towards the getting together end.
Yes, and it's a few stages too quick. For this to be a slow burn, I understand them getting closer as things died down, but why did they have to flirt? They could have just saved that for the second half of the volume, or when they got back together in volumes 8 or 9. Having them flirt at the start of volume 7 is all kinds of unnecessary.
The chemistry to most normal people is just fine. Once again, your ass has that anti-LGBT plus bullshit in place.
Excuse me? You mean anti-LGBT plus programming? Thank you very much. Where are you, a robophobe?
What does talking about Ty, Callie, and Gira have to do with the story happening in V7-8? Oh right, nothing. That's why that isn't brought up.
I don't know, man. What does bringing up any element about the character's past and struggles have to do with stopping Mommy Salami from nuking everyone? You figure it out, dog. I'm tired of this. Also, ideally, I would have had hints about Blake's parents be expressed via natural dialogue with Yang in the early volumes, but I guess that's my anti-gay programming acting up again. You know, giving gay people more screen time. Classic homophobic technique, oldest one in the book.
Ruby and Yang are siblings, newsflash. Siblings disagree, argue with each other all the damn time with full damn knowledge that at the end of the day you'll come back around. A potential significant other, on the other hand, has no such guarantee in place, and especially in one like Yang's case where she already has abandonment plus self-value issues, it'd be that much more at the front of mind. So damn tired of this bullshit, especially from people that have no siblings to talk out of their ass or base it on anime, manga bullshit.
I mean, aside from the fact that I have siblings IRL, that still doesn't address my point. And why wouldn't there be no guarantee in place when they literally had no argument? If anything, that's just as secure, if not more so. If I had an argument with one of my brothers and my girlfriend was in the room or something, I would imagine most people would think about the argument at hand. They would probably apologize for arguing in front of them, but at the same time, again, Blake showed no major disagreement with her. Plus, given how her abandonment issues haven't been very present in the past 3 or so volumes at this point, I don't think she has much to worry about. Maybe if those aspects were more consistent, I would agree with you.
I'll easily take that absolutely fucking gorgeous scene within a pocket dimension over any other bullshit you dumbasses would spat out of your mouths as natural. Oh sure, are they picking a fight with me too? Your ass clearly once again doesn't have a damn clue about things like the friend/romance line, especially in the case of LGBT+. Something that was even essentially brought up in volume fucking 7 by Harriet and Elm, mocking there being anything more than professional between teammates. I think you're looking for professionalism, otherwise you might want to word this better. The scene doesn't need to be saved. It's perfectly fucking fine. Magical damn world with the two clearly flirting, building it up between them equals, yeah, magical gorgeous fucking confession scene.
Yes, but the magical world doesn't need to put a gun to their heads to confess. Remember, they were not around for Jean to explain that the Ponderstone... Ponderstone? Fuck. Remember, they were not around for Jean to explain that the Ponderstorm is harmless. For all they know, they needed to get on that platform to survive. Which, as I said, would not be a problem if them not confessing to each other had caused issues prior to this. Otherwise, just have them make the choice on their own and have the bridge be more of a symbolic or diegetic thing, I don't know. Or incorporate the magical elements of the Ever After in a way that facilitate Blake and Yang's agency without taking it away.
It doesn't need to be shown for it to be a thing, so long as Yang feels like others are intimidated by her, which does fit given her being a powerhouse. It fits, and Blake is the one that didn't back down on that front.
Dude, feelings don't just come out of nowhere, barring severe mental illness or chemical imbalances or blah blah. There is almost always a reason for our internal perception of ourselves. As a storyteller, you need to provide those reasons. For example, the king of bad self-perceptions has to be Shinji Ikari from Evangelion. The dude legitimately thinks that everyone else, by default, hates him for being wimpy, immature, and unworthy of affection. These things are categorically false. People want to connect with Shinji, as we see throughout the show. So here's the question. Why does he feel this way about himself? Where does this come from? Well, imagine my shock, but Gainax and Hideaki Anno had the sense to actually show us why. There are several scenes, lines of dialogue, and moments throughout the series that essentially piece together the fact that up until the series began, Shinji didn't have anyone. He had no parents to give him positive reinforcement and care, and what guardians they did have merely scolded him for misbehaving instead of nurturing his self-worth. He spent most of his life thinking that everything that has ever happened to him that is bad is in some way his fault, and that he doesn't get the things that other people have, which is meaningful connections, because he's just inherently a shitty person. It's no wonder that he thinks that he's a worthless sack of shit to begin with, even if it isn't true. And I'm not even saying that Yang's self-view of how she's intimidating apparently needs the same level of detail. I just want it to come from something the show actually shows us, because no one has ever been intimidated by Yang, ever, unless she's actively beating the shit out of him. In which case, this line makes even less sense because she's never fought Blake at all. You may say that this is not important, but we are talking about one of the big reasons Yang is in love with Blake. A huge part of her character arc throughout the show, by your admission. Establishing what those reasons are is kind of the road you signed up for. Also, why would anyone in a world where teenagers are trained to punch Cthulhu monsters to save the world, would anyone be intimidated because of her being a powerhouse? I mean, I guess it's not entirely impossible, but again, you need to justify that perception. How can I be invested in your romance when you tell us one thing and show us another? And you know what? That's the problem with Bumblebee in my opinion. The show keeps telling us one thing about who Blake and Yang are or how they connect with each other, and yet they just show us something almost completely different. And I just don't see that as a good thing.
What's good Yang bangers?
It's the sum of the parts. Bitch, your ass couldn't even grasp a multi-volume arc, or how a pairing that actually fits in line with the other two canon pairings and has actual elements that make a relationship in it. It's more fitting than a damn shallow, immature, crush-tier hetero one that lacks all of those elements. Your ass gets pulled out of it because of a magical damn storm within a magical damn world that isn't fully about Bumblebee, as John, Weiss, Ruby, and Juniper, and even the fucking Curious Cat get pulled into just another section of it.
Girl, what the fuck is you talking about?
The only thing you've demonstrated here is that you're a know-nothing jackass with disgusting bullshit takes towards Blake, a fucking abuse survivor. The inability to grasp anything not spoon-fed to your fucking brain-dead ass. And on top of that, a homophobic double standard.
Fuck out of here!
You're just another sexist incel dumbass bitching over your hetero ship not happening. And you can say you're not really a BSer all your ass wants. What you've put forward shows your ass as exactly that paired with homophobia and bullshit that doesn't hold a shred of weight for anyone that actually knows the show and story.
Man, shut your bitch ass up, man.
Bumblebee stands towards the top of mind and the LGBT plus person's top LGBT plus pairs.
Good fucking God. You're retarded, aren't you?
And I'd change very damn little about how they were built. They established Blake as a bi character. I'll give you an overly generous benefit of the doubt and you're using lesbianship as a general term and not trying to erase Blake's bisexuality. What's this? heterosexuals, oh no! Built a relationship the same as its hetero-sibling ships, and in a nature matter manner with elements that go into mature relationships. Emotional bonding, understanding, going through shit together, strengthening one another, being drawn to one another, and just basically falling for traits of one another equals actual mature relationship builders. Not blushing at someone being goofy in front of a stadium of people whom otherwise you will forget exist or have no emotional bond with. Six-pack abs don't make a relationship.
Says you. You fucking virgin dick twiddler. I love that shit.
As a let's get butt fucked tonight plus person, as a Bumblebeer and a Yang fan, and especially a Blake fan.
Gross. Shut the hell up, you giraffe shit looking fucking piss gargling buttcuck.
Agreed, Blake. This fucker needs to go outside and find some real bitches, instead of fucking his Ambrosius body pillow.
Go fuck yourself.
And there you go. That's pretty much every major point that he had against my video, all ironed out. Sorry that it kinda took so long. And let it be known, this guy commented a whole lot in my video in other threads and comments throughout it. And he isn't exactly very friendly about people who disagree with him. I was still aware of his activity because every now and again I get notifications of what he's doing, and at some point I tried to see if maybe joking around with the guy would work. I mean, he's already balls deep in my freaking comment section, may as well lower the tension here. That didn't work out very well. So, you know what? To cap things off, let me say this. Friend, I am currently a 1K plus sub YouTuber who made a video talking about how I think a fictional relationship is bad, not some Redditor in disguise. If you had just simply explained your disagreements, called me dumb and left, I would be fine with that. But nah, you had to do the I took it personally meme. Instead, you have to say I'm a bad person because, allegedly, I'm wrong about a relationship that doesn't exist. You chose to make it some moral failing on my part, on top of saying things about me that just straight up aren't true. You're the one out here calling people worthless human filth and threatening people just because they think it's not well written, regardless of intent or argumentation. But you know what? You're right. This would be funny if it wasn't so pathetic. My mistake. And with that, that's pretty much over with. Thank you to everybody who's gotten this far in the video, and thanks to every single guy here who has contributed and decided to voice act for these lines, because I really appreciate it and it cuts down on editing. So yeah, got a bunch of videos in the future planned. Hope to see y'all around.